Yes, thank you. They do come with a lot of stuff. You'll be having a baby soon.
No.
Al Witts, well played Widnes. All Rugby League fans, maybe not Hull FC fans, would have been impressed with their performance. That bounce from Kevin Brown's kick shows that when you're at the top, things go your way. The disallowed tries seem to take it out of Hull after a great start. Langer's Los Bala Esther Aki got in touch with us. Widnes playing as a team, Hull playing like they've just met. My 5th place prediction is going to be wrong. Sad face.
Everyone's predictions about Widnes are going to be wrong.
Yeah, they are, absolutely. So they fucked everything up then by consequence. Tim G Radio, I was asked to leave the dressing room after a game by the players once. I was one of the other players though. Brian Davies, Hull look like a typical FC side, lots of big names and hugely disappointing again. Widnes look good, Kev Brown very dominant, but be really good to see how they get on against a decent side. Only played poor sides or out of form sides so far. Kevin Brown for England? ? It seems like a Wayne Bennett sort of.
Is the best performing English standoff available for selection at the moment. Yeah, you have to say.
And if that's the case at the end of the season, that's the sort of decision Wayne Bennett makes. He makes those big decisions. He's not going to be shy about it. He won't just, No,
it'll be a mentality to it, won't there?
There'll be inclusions in the England side at the end of the year.
It will be interesting to see how he continues to go when he starts to be put under pressure physically. I mean, the try he scored in this game was a joke defensively from the Hull FC perspective. Whether an international defence is going to fall for that same thing, perhaps not. I'm not certain. It'll be interesting to see, but he's definitely the front runner.
I couldn't agree more. And where am I on to? Owen Hughes. Owen, it's been a while since we've heard from Owen. That's nice, isn't it?
For him to get in touch.
It is. We started to feel sorry for Hull in the first half. Thought they were looking the better team. Just needed to complete better. Then the whole team produced a series of brain farts and then imploded. Well played, Widnes. Fair play. Well, that's a good way to sum it up, really. So that was Thursday night's game, and then on Friday night over at the DW Stadium, I was expecting a closer one than even the scoreline suggests, and you would probably go on to say that it could have been by a wider margin, but Wigan were 28 points to 6 winners over Leeds. A Leeds side that looked very, very ordinary from what I was watching on television. I said to you on Saturday night, I couldn't work out whether Leeds were defending well and just not really doing much in attack and you guys kind of ground it out, or whether or not Leeds defended well and that kept the scoreline as low as it did. In actual fact, Wigan could have gone for more, but you felt the latter, didn't you?
Oh, definitely. I think the scoreline flatters Leeds. We threw away a number of tries or try opportunities in the first half, with the new combinations that we were forced into a little bit, with George Williams being taken out the game late, although we were preparing to some extent to play without him. Sargentson at fullback, his passing game isn't his biggest strength, and he's working on it, and he threw a few passes that weren't great out to Charlie's wing, but then again he also had a lot of impact because he was always around the ball, which was good to see. He was certainly making more attacking threats, but the back three for Wigan, the three backs out there were outstanding. The whole 3 quarters was outstanding. I would say man for man across the 17, there was no better player in a Leeds jersey than there was in a Wigan jersey in the game. Ryan Sutton was absolutely incredible. Tony Clubb was unbelievably good. I mean, he's talk about England's selection. Prop position is a position that we're well stocked in, and he'd rely on a number of injuries, but the way he's playing so far this season,
could be
apart from his own little injury he had a couple of weeks ago, it really could be clubbering time. Because he's one of the form forwards that I've seen this year. But the whole side played really well. I mean, young Sam Powell did 80 minutes and he didn't look tired at the end of the game, whereas Bo Falloon looked tired 3 minutes after he'd come on. Now I know he's been out with injury and stuff, but the 2 Leeds players that were coming back from injury into the game both were suffering from fatigue. I mean, the Anthony Gelling try demonstrated how fatigue can affect senior professional experienced players who've got lots in the trophy cabinet. The way he went round JJB sort of left a big space for that. But I could sit here and just talk about how great Wigan's players were for ages, and that'll just piss people off because people can't hack it. But hey, Wigan were fantastic in this game, apart from the last pass a few times in the first half. Leeds were
Here's my thing.
Resilient a bit in defence, I suppose. Certainly Hardacre was strong in defence, cut off a couple of opportunities by himself. But Leeds weren't making that many errors in the early stages of the game. The error count was probably well in their favour in the first half. The penalties were even-ish. And I just don't think that they had any ability to make any ground. And every time they were throwing their offloads, and they still threw threw a few offloads, every time they were getting thrown, Wigan were on top of it all the time.
Yeah. But teams have played against it now. And they legislate for it. Like, they knew it was coming last season, but until you experience it in a game and get used to it, then you've got to kind of get into that mindset, haven't you? But I just think they were spent forcing some of that area of their play, and also they're not playing with. Look, there's loads to talk about. First of all, I think if there hadn't been the mass retirements of two of their most influential forwards, then you might have seen JJB call it a day, because I'm suspicious that he will not recapture anything before he wants to show and demonstrate, coming back from such a massive injury at his age, which is a shame for him, really, because JJB's won everything there is to win.
If either Ablett, Delaney or Ward was fit,
he's not in the side, is he?
I can't see it.
He is literally fourth or fifth choice second rower in that team. But the other thing I wanted to touch on was, as much as we're all raving about Jordan Lilly and we're all raving not so much about Sutcliffe this year, but we had been doing, how much do Leeds miss Danny Maguire? Because if there was one player you wouldn't want to get injured in this transitional year, it's him.
Yeah.
Because he's the anchor now. He's what everything needs to be built around to keep them as an attacking threat. And as much as we talk about Jordan Lilly being a good prospect, that's all he is for me at the minute. He might have been playing well, but he's been playing well in a well-beaten side so far this season.
Well, they did have the first choice. They did have the first choice front row out there. And A Church was the only player playing in the pack that wouldn't be
another reason
probably on the pitch normally, and they still couldn't get over Wigan. Now they made meters as the game went on, because they plugged away. They had a decent amount of ball, but they never threatened with it hardly at all. And Watkins, Gildart absolutely outshone international world class Callum Watkins without a shadow of a doubt.
Gildart did look good.
But yeah,
you know me, I don't like to overdo it with Wigan on this, because it kind of skews the podcast a little bit. But they did play well, and they did make Leeds look absolutely average. And what it's left me doing is looking for reasons why Leeds are so average, to be honest. And I think in the halves is kind of partly, or is the weakest of those weak links at the moment. Yes, your forwards dominated them. Yes, your backline made some very experienced Leeds backliners look poor, but in the halves at the moment, these two young lads need some support and need some help. Now, whether or not now that both Falloon's back, you'll see Rob Burrow deployed in the halves a little bit more.
Well, you did in the last 20 minutes of this game,
in this one, but Danny Maguire
didn't help him whatsoever.
No, probably not. But they were beaten side at that
spent
point.
Forces, though. I think there's an argument for Burrow to be in that category. All year I think I'll keep thinking back to that game against Warrington when he had that break and he should have scored, and if he'd have scored, there's every chance they would have won that game, I think, at that stage. And he didn't score. He got caught by a second rower, and it just felt from there like
they absolutely need
this old Leeds team that we've been talking about for years has all of a sudden become a young Leeds team that with trying to support the old players who aren't physically where they once were. They were great players. This was a great team. I hope it's not all completely extinguished, because Super League needs a good Leeds team.
I don't think it is. I think they'll pick up and they'll improve once they get. But it's about getting Danny Maguire back in the side for me. It really is, because they just seem to lack that spark as much.
And nothing against Kindhorst. He was, I think, one of the more solid performers. I think
he's when he came in, work a day, isn't he? He's not.
But there was no excitement really from that. Shall we do some numbers?
Yes, please.
Okay, Wigan made more metres in this game than any team in any game so far this season, over 1,700 metres. That was 550 more metres than Leeds, with 6-3 in the clean breaks, which it actually is a bit lower than it should have been, because we dropped the ball from passes that would have been clean breaks. And a massive 1.7 metres per carry better average gain were a big part of the story for the dominant home side. Fewer errors, fewer penalties, and a 5% better tackle success as a team helped as well. The one thing we haven't talked about was the Liam Farrell disallowed try. What did you make of that?
Probably should have been a try, really.
It's one of them, I think, where technically, letter of the law, if you freeze frame it at the point where Liam Farrell took the ball and Callum Watkins made contact with Sargentson was a little bit in front of the play. If Sargentson was like 3 inches back, there's no way it could have been called back because he was a support player, but because he got very slightly, really,
honestly,
we're talking not a long distance.
I think on a non-televised game, it's a try.
Well, and
without the opportunity to go back and check the offside.
Of it is Wigan's play up to that point had scored. It was a good enough play to have earned a try. Leeds were all out of whack. Callum Watkins gambled by throwing his body at Sargentson, and then throwing his arms up to try and get it referred upstairs because they were beating all ends up by the play Wigan put on, and that's why it feels a bit annoying because it was obviously a play that deserved a try, but at the same time I think it was the right call by the video ref. I think it was obstruction, and I hope those Leeds fans can wind their necks in now about the ones from previous seasons where they felt hard done by, because that's it now. It's you see it both ways.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes, you do, Mark.
Dan Sargentson with a try assist and 188 metres.
Where are they going to put Sam Tompkins now that Dan Sargentson's their fullback for the rest of the season? How do you fit Sam Tompkins into this side, Mark?
I'm pretty confident we'll...
that Sargentson's going back into the centres.
Or we'll see one of these 5 players get injured. Normally we only do 4 players, but I'm going to do 5, and I'm going to do the whole back Wigan 5, because I think it'd be remiss of me to leave any one of them out, to be honest, when we talk about the numbers.
Okay.
And I'm sure everyone listening will agree. Dan Sargentson with a try assist, 188 metres. Don Manfredi with a try, 8 tackle busts, 188 metres and 2 clean breaks. That run for the Bateman try,
he made about 70 metres of that on that broken field play, didn't he?
Anthony Gelling with a try assist, 7 tackle busts and 148 metres. Oliver Gildart with a try and 155 metres. His try was probably the one that took Wigan over the line in terms of this looks like it could become something now. Josh Charnley with 7 tackle busts, 222 metres and 2 clean breaks. If you put all that together, the back 5 made more than 900 metres. Now, some of that was on kick returns with a bit of space to run into, but a lot of that was on clever or powerful plays. I mean, I think of Charnley's one where he took the ball in the in goal with a push that wasn't given a penalty on, because he's not going to fling his arms up in the air and feign for a penalty when it doesn't make a difference to the outcome of the play. But he turned around instead and ran 25 metres up the field. Off the back of that, Gildart made a run for 20 metres and Wigan were on the front foot again, and that sort of stuff was happening constantly in this game. However, the ball came back to them from kicks. When Leeds did put in an attacking kick, Wigan were able to deal with it and make good ground from it. When they put in a deep kick, they were really threatening when they ran back at what was often a disjointed line from a battered and beaten Leeds side. The back 5 were exceptional. There were some good stats put up by some of the hard-working players in the Leeds Rhinos side. Let's not take too much credit away from these guys. Adam Cuthbertson with 50 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles, 113 metres and 4 successful offloads. Brett Ferris with a try assist, 10 marker tackles and 145 metres, 5 successful offloads. And Mitch Garbutt with 116 metres, Ash Hanley with 110 metres.
See, Ash Hanley's another one of these Leeds players that at the moment, he's one of the few that's coming out with a great deal of credit for me. I think he's doing well in a side that's struggling.
He's showing really good bounce back ability, isn't he? Because he's making mistakes in almost every game, let's be honest about it.
He backs himself.
But it doesn't affect him, and he realises as a winger in this game, you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. It's how you come back from them, and he's really running hard off the back of everything that goes on, and credit to him for that for sure.
Absolutely.
These successful offloads, by the way, I'm not sure how many of them would, if we were scoring it on a positive contribution to what happened in the play, would score a positive mark.
I see.
Because a lot of them went
back 5 metres,
and either to a player who wasn't really ready, or to a player who, or not to a player, or or to a player who was already marked by another player and pushing him back. Obviously, though, Ferris's offload for Zach Cardick try. Now that was classic stuff, and
Absolutely. So, Mark Stevo, 72, he got in touch. Leeds' woes continue. The question around leadership, coaching and, dare I say, fitness remain unanswered. Alan Cale, Shoddy and Mungo, Wigan have been grinding results out up to now, but you could see the improvement tonight. Are Leeds out of the running for the top 4 already? It's looking that way. Colin Render, not sure what's wrong with Leeds at the moment, not doing the little things right, culminating in an all-round poor team performance. On top of that, Wigan was spot on defensively, not allowing Leeds any metres. Badams 93, new one on me. Thanks for getting in touch.
Yeah.